Welcome back to the Detroit is Different podcast studios. And in studio, I got a brother that definitely in community, we've crossed paths for a longer time. What I remember, he was like, no, man, it was even a little bit before that. But definitely in neighborhoods, connecting with people, but also really in that space of connecting with young people, especially young black men, when it comes to that education journey. As y'all done heard me say it before, like you can really, you can almost go through getting a PhD as a black man in America, and maybe if you could count on two hands, if you could get to 6 black teachers that you had that are men, wow, phenomenal, right? But he's one of those brothers that's definitely in that space. Andre Ebron, how you doing?
I'm doing well, Carg. Thank you for another invite to the Detroit is Different podcast, man. I'm glad to be in the studios once again.
Yeah, man.
And, they say good people attract good people. So whenever I see you in community, I know that great things are happening. Most importantly, I know that those who are most marginalized has an advocate in the room who is undaunted, unafraid, unabashedly advocating on their behalf. And so I love it, man. Keep doing what you're doing. Proud of everything that you're doing, and glad to be with you today.
All day, you see the linguistic skills. This man probably got a freestyle more ready than I do.
Oh man, listen, drop the beat right now. Listen, I got a quick 8. No, maybe a 16. No, joking.
I got you.
Yeah.
I got you. All right, so we always start these stories, which I already kind of know a little bit of the preview because we had a great warm discussion before this, but. Roots to Detroit. What's your family ties to here?
So, man, listen, I'm going to reach back to Marion, Alabama.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Marion, Alabama. Where is that at?
Yes,
How
sir.
big of a city is that?
Marion, Alabama, man. My family was instrumental, as so many other families were, in the Great Migration.
Okay.
Specifically from Alabama to Michigan, Indiana, and Ohio. So we migrated forward, and my family went to Indiana.
All right.
I always want to tell people, it was the Indiana Pistons. I'm not Fort Wayne. I'm not going to bother that. No, but I had family in Detroit. The Wrights and the Suttles and the Coopers migrated from Marion, Alabama. So Suttles, Suttle. Also the Settles, and so there's just the different variations of the name. So ended up in Detroit. I spent my youth in growing up in Fort Wayne, Indiana. But we we traveled to Detroit back and forth. So I even had the Boblo experience, as a child, and got a chance to enjoy Detroit. But my ties as an adult to Detroit started in 2004.
Okay.
And so I graduated college. My wife is from Detroit.
All right.
She grew up on the east side of Detroit.
All right. You saw that Detroit lady and was like, hey,
listen, I'm telling you, absolutely. Because I was headed to D.C., man, because I wanted to pursue my Juris Doctorate at Howard. But God has a way of redirecting your steps. And met my wife. She grew up off of Mack and Seaburn, so truly east side.
Yes.
And then I moved here after I graduated college. So graduated May 1st of 2004, moved here May 2nd of 2004, started a job May 10th, 2004, got married May 28th, 2004.
And you were right at that Pistons rally when we won that chip.
I was. Yes, sir. Yes, sir, I was.
June 2004.
Yes, sir. I was there, brother, and enjoying it and repping everything Detroit. So,
exactly.
Yes,
exactly.
Sir.
And then later on in that same year, it's like, oh man, them Indiana Pacers came into the Palace and just ruined it for us.
Oh man, listen, hey, I have no sticks in the ground there, right? Absolutely. Listen, but I do, man, I love Detroit with all my heart, and being here the last 21 years, man, putting in work and like raising my family here, and so I do believe that Detroit is a great place with diverse cultures, identities. The arts and culture scene is off the hook. Some of the greatest educators and thought leaders are from this area. And so I know generally when we talk about, our city, we talk about the grit and determination and the hard work and lifting the space of the blue collar piece, which is definitely true. Also, but great minds and creativity and some of your great folks in academia and also those that are disrupting inequality. Like they come from this soil. So glad to be a Detroiter. And people have told me since, because when I moved here, I was working in the hood. Yeah. So I got a chance to meet everybody that my wife grew up with, and everybody, and doing work across the state, and this southeastern Michigan. I got a chance to meet everybody. So people think like, oh, where did you go, Cass or King? You seem like a Cass guy.
Hilarious.
But no, actually, man, been here 21 years and started my career here.
Okay. Yep. All right. Like, I guess in that same scope, Indiana, as I call it, it's like people like, it's not technically Midwest, but I always call it Big Ten country, and definitely a lot of similarities in the Ohio, Indiana, Wisconsin, Minnesota, like Michigan. It's many similarities of what industry was in different places. Fort Wayne is definitely one of those locations and ports and different things like that. What was that like for you as a kid? What did it feel like for you?
So I'm an 80s baby, right? Fort Wayne is interesting. I always break down, like when I'm in community, well, depending on like what we're talking about, but how Fort Wayne was like very slow paced, even though it's the second city, the summit city, second largest city in Indiana. It was still very slow paced. Wasn't a whole lot to do. Childhood, similar, like you either were dancing or like something entertainment, or you were roller skating or playing childhood sports. Did all of that, right? Fort Wayne began to change when income-based housing erected. So there were some projects that started coming up, right? And my family some of my family lived there. McCormick Park Apartments. Okay. And to Detroiters who know, like, they know. Yeah. And so there was a turf war for these apartments, right? And there was another apartment called Eden Green. So like there were like these income-based housing units that went up. And so Detroit was in battle for those apartments, right? Chicago was in battle for those apartments. Indianapolis was also in battle for that territory, and Fort Wayne guys were also in battle for that territory. Yeah. And so it drastically changed our city. And there was still a fight for community members to, stop the violence. Yeah. It was, as a child, I remember the song, it was like, stop the violence, stop the drive-by shootings, right? Yeah. And so the interesting thing, because Fort Wayne is this big, and remember for the south side of Fort Wayne, most of the people migrated from the south, so everybody knew each other's people. I'm talking about generationally, right? Wow. So when there was beef or what have you, people were like, I know your grandmother. I know your great-grandmother. And it was interesting how the elders would be able to squash some of the challenges that were happening in that city. But then there were people like me, my family, were ancillary to it. Yeah. And I was the young guy that the older guys pushed off the block, right? Yeah. I was the young guy that the older guys protected. And then some of my family had some street credibility. So there were spaces and places that maybe I wanted to go that even when I showed up,
you weren't welcome.
Yeah, I wasn't welcome. And they would say, it's something on your life, young man. You can't be here. Essentially, people get real prophetic, when they can see something on you, and they do their best to ensure that you don't fall in the same pit holes. But it was a duality piece where while they protected me, they made me aware. Yeah. Right. And something that I've been preaching and throughout my professional career as a community advocate is that you can be aware without being exposed.
That's deep.
And so that is what I do my best to do in protecting young people's minds, is that you don't have to experience a thing, or essentially you don't have to touch the stove to know that the stove is hot.
True indeed.
So let me make you aware from the block to the boardroom of some of the challenges and the opportunities that coexist. And through the wisdom that is poured into you, you are equipped with enough information to make a wise decision to avert those pit holes and not fall into disaster when you really have a chance to make a decision to catapult your destiny.
Yeah, and as you we're same age, so like we're really talking about like maybe like mid 80s, to like maybe mid-90s where two things are happening at the same time. Simultaneously as you guys, if you want to watch it, it's like Michael Moore's first documentary about Flint and Roger and Me. But it really just talks so much about like the transition from what the industrial age is not going to be present. And then, so another thing of pop culture I'm gonna speak to is, on Ice Cube's second album, Death Certificate, My Summer Vacation, where he just talks about like, you need, going from South Central and going to Minnesota.
Yeah.
So, as less opportunities exist in industry, especially like for the younger guys, you have definitely way more access to what becomes different drugs that, crack definitely being like a big influence, but other drugs as well. And it kind of still runs concurrent a lot with the industry too, because as these people are coping with whatever they're dealing with, possibly in that work, it runs concurrent. So from Detroit, which has the busiest port in America from Canada, you have obviously that connection to Chicago, and Lord knows, any of these, like, I guess, like, gangster or whatever series you watch, you can know of, like, Hoovers and Gangster Disciples, Vice Lords, all of that stuff, and everything that's happening here in Detroit, like the Chambers Brothers and everything. But along that stretch of 94, it's a couple different stops that are very, that are just, like, heavy from that Detroit to Chicago drive. Fort Wayne is one of them. Battle Creek, definitely. And then obviously, people should know of Gary, Indiana. So like people think that like these places are like you know what I'm saying? It's like, oh man, this is just backwoods. Nah, it's like sometimes those communities, because of the familiarity and how things connect and what exists there, it can become even more tense and heated situations, especially like at that time, in this like finding opportunity, because some of those smaller cities, like obviously, factories are leaving Detroit, but it's still, one factory closing in Fort Wayne or Gary or Battle Creek could be like the impact of like 10 closing in Detroit.
Traumatized.
So it's like, you're the younger brother of a guy, and it's like, damn, I done lost a job. My dad done lost his job, and, these guys from Detroit said they just need a place to drive to, drop some stuff off to, and keep things moving. It starts there, and y'all done seen enough for these movies and things, how things play out before, where that eventually can shift and definitely change. And Fort Wayne is definitely one of those places. I mean, even along the way, that, like I say, that Detroit to Chicago, it pops in.
Yeah, and poverty provides infrastructure for disaster, right?
Yeah.
And one of the things that, because nobody gets into that particular life with the intent to just do harm. It generally begins with the intent to meet a basic need that government and nonprofit organizations should be helping to facilitate, or community-based organizations supporting to facilitate, to meet just life's basic needs, right? And so then it becomes an avenue, and then the lifestyle that comes with that, which includes, danger and violence and all of the sorts, begins to, which is really the collateral damage of the poverty infrastructure. So
very much so.
And so when you eliminate, work to eliminate poverty, the stress that poverty creates, then it affords people to make more rational choices.
You move closer and can definitely do that. And also, I've said this on the podcast too, like I call them town over guys.
That's right.
So like a town over guy could be really, these are sometimes the most dangerous people to leave, because why they left the Chicago or the Detroit or the Atlanta, the New Orleans, definitely is like some violence involved. There's probably like some work as an informant involved. But either way, they've already kind of turned their back on a lot of things. And when they're already committed to things that are more destructive to a community, they're definitely going to enter that town over community with more of a They're definitely not coming with the most peaceful attitude. Let's just put it like that.
They're not. So I'll share with you. My home growing up was the haven. The haven for people in my family who were involved in other things, right? From different states. And so my mother, her background, she's a Marine social worker and an educator, right? So a lot of my commitment in life to support people began very early. My mom, she was the one who took care of the family, everybody, right? So if there was going to be a taco night, or if there was going to be, somebody got in. This is the way I say it before she transitioned. Whether it was a college graduation or a court date, my mom was showing up for the family, right? With just as much pride and vigor and commitment. Either way. So if you were graduating college and she had helped you through that, the buttons are popping off her shirt saying, like, I'm proud of you, keep going. If you had made a poor choice, she was there saying, I'm going to be here with you through thick and thin. I'm going to put some money on your books. I'm going to try to get the best lawyer. So no matter what, if you got a chance to be loved by my mama, you were loved forever, right? And so to your point about New Orleans, you know, man, my and this is I'll share it because I don't think anything comes up without purpose. When you have an opportunity to change your life, take it. So my cousin John Boy, he had a chance to come to Fort Wayne. And you remember at that time it was the Greyhound. And so he was supposed to take the Greyhound that Monday, that morning. He didn't take the bus. He missed the bus. He was supposed to take the Greyhound that afternoon. And my aunt sent him to the store one last run to get some milk and eggs. He never made it back. Gunned down in the street. But he had an opportunity to leave that morning.
That's deep.
And had he left that morning, I believe John Boy would be here to this day.
That's deep.
So when you have an opportunity to exit, and right now we're talking about like gang culture, drugs, violence, but it could be a relationship that no longer serves you. It could be a job that doesn't provide you space to express your full potential. It could be mentality or eating. If you have a chance to exit something that is unhealthy, like there are certain transitional points where you have to take that exit, right? And so the reason I bring that up is because it didn't just affect his life. His younger brothers and his siblings, of course, retaliation is real, right? And this is not me dry snitching. This is something me sharing, sharing how it has impacted family. So retaliation is a real thing. Had to get one of my other cousins out of there. Then one of my younger cousins continues to try to follow up, and he ends up in juvie, but he goes from age 15 to 21 locked up. That leaves now my other cousin, the baby girl, leaves her unprotected because all the men are now in a different state. And her brothers or her warriors, those who protected her, now she has no support. And then my aunt is down there trying to navigate some challenges in life because of some of her decisions. And here's what I'll tell you, Kari, and this is just me being transparent. 4 out of the 5 people, my mother's sister, my aunt, 4 out of those 5 people are no longer here.
Wow. That's heavy.
And it started with one thing, but it could have been averted with taking the exit that is provided. So if you're listening, this is I want to throw all red alerts, red flags, like saying, listen, if you have a chance to exit, exit, because your life is worth it.
And that's because we're here, and I definitely think you can speak to this too. And this is also one of those things that's when people talk about human beings and our behavior, that we're, people say we're creatures of habit. Which is true, but sometimes the habit is that comfortability. So even if something we know is detrimental for us, but we find comfort in what's detrimental. It's what we have an understanding for. It's what we connect to. This plays out in, I mean, we're on the topic, but the end of the movie in Boys in the Hood, where you have the exchange between Trey and Doughboy, and then you see the words at the end where it's like, okay, eventually, that same tragic demise is seen for Doughboy in what's happening and, what that does for that whole community. But these, like, finding comfort in things that I don't want to necessarily label it chaotic, but definitely I'm going to say it's more destructive to you.
Right.
Is something that is definitely aligned so much in just the Black experience in America itself. And then in many ways, you can say just the American experience for any person, just because the things that we have to understand and tell ourselves to navigate sometimes in space without like tapping into like the humanity of like what could be more constructive and progressive for us.
Mm-hmm.
It gets tough, and family is definitely the institution I think most that becomes more revealing of a lot of this because of the intimacy in which it connects.
Yeah, you have to. What happens is you normalize what's happening in your environment to survive the trauma.
Yeah,
right. That is the base of it. Like that's why the work that we do with young men, or the work that I've done in education, or the work that I've done in the nonprofit space, like that's why we work to shift and change environments, right?
Yeah.
Is that when you boil down, and this is Dr. Oscar J. Dowdell Underwood's work, when you talk about, actually it traces also to Dr. Miles Monroe, and when you talk about the environments that are necessary to cultivate the inherent power that exists within our young people, like inside of every person, this is my belief, and Dr. Underwood has written a book, talk about bumblebees can fly. I'll make sure you get a copy of that.
Okay.
But literally inside of every young person that we meet is an inherent power to produce something that the world has never seen.
Yes.
And I approach each young person with that belief no matter where I find them, right?
Deep.
I approach them with the belief that if you had access to the proper resources and the environment, like the statistics say, and it's so interesting that we baseline on this statistic for urban environments, is that the likelihood for a young person to succeed exponentially goes up if they come across one loving adult.
Yeah, that's deep.
One loving adult.
Yeah.
That has the ability to express patience, care, right? The ability to correct in love, the ability to direct and to instruct, the ability to listen, right? Provides validity to the voice of the young person that is speaking. A young person's confidence is grown just by one caring adult. So when people are asking me, like, where can I make a difference? How can I make a difference? Like, and trust me, I don't let everybody around our young people.
Yeah.
No, you know what I mean? You have to be vetted, right?
Yeah.
But if you're saying, if you want to make a difference, one caring person in a young person's life exponentially causes the potential of them being successful or having a viable, sustainable life of enjoyment and fulfillment, it goes up.
Mm-hmm.
And so you don't have to look too far to make an impact. Sweep around your own front door.
Yeah.
We have many schools, environments that need volunteers.
Yeah.
Right? Volunteerism is the lifeblood of any nonprofit organization.
Should be.
Yeah, it should be, right?
Yep.
We need more volunteers. If you're looking for a place to express goodwill and your great intention, you don't have to start a nonprofit. We got a million and one nonprofits in Detroit, right?
Detroit, yeah.
So if you want to work with children who have incarcerated parents, we have a nonprofit for that.
Yeah.
If you want to work for children who are battling terminal illness, we have a nonprofit for that.
Yeah.
If you want to work with children who have exceptionalities and potential disabilities, we have a nonprofit for that.
You want to work with children that are interested in theater or whatever. It's
the list goes on, right? And so like the community change that we want to see will happen to our degree of service. Like, find someone to serve today. Like, that's the question that I ask myself when I wake up. Like, who will I serve today? Right?
Well, as I've always, like, our connection, which I know I'm jumping in the story.
Yeah. All good.
But United Way, that's where we first connected.
Yeah.
United Way at the time was looking to do something in the high school in my neighborhood, Central High School. So, like, they connect me with the principal there. But I definitely remember meeting you, and then in meeting you talking about some of the programs, and more so like just making connections from east and west, just throughout the city. And now that I get more of your backstory, that you come here, I get an understanding too, like how you see it, which kind of, I guess that may be one of the questions I have for many people that come here. And the work that you do is definitely led with that love and that passion. But what are some of those things that stand out as you begin traveling and engaging more in Detroit to you about the culture here?
Oh man, listen, I love the culture. I like to believe that I'm good in any hood.
Yeah.
And the reason that I say that, I don't say that to be braggadocious about.
Yeah.
I say that because I lead with love, right? And I lead with respect. And one of the things that you know is that from the block to the boardroom, the name of the game is respect. Lives are won and lost based upon respect.
Yeah.
Deals are closed or dismissed based upon respect.
Very
and so,
true.
like, the way that I see when I'm on the east side where I started my career at Southeast Children and Family Development Head Start, right there on Concord at New Calvary Church, between Mac and I'm looking right at it, Mac and Gratiot. Yeah. So
Okay.
that's where I cut my teeth as a professional. Hardworking people.
Yeah.
Love to the end, and I'll say it's like the two sides of a coin. And if you believe that the love is extremely passionate, in the opposite direction, it's extremely it is equally as vigilant, right? And it's a place where people could definitely watch how you move. You know what I mean? Like, you are seeing before you sing. I remember I had a grandmother who was dropping off her child because we piloted the first all-male academy in Head Start history. It was 6 black men.
Wow.
We had an all-male academy training children, young men 2.5 to 5. And when they gave us these young men card, you wouldn't believe what they told us.
Interesting.
They told us, we are giving you the worst of the worst.
Wow.
Young men. Now what?
Damn, I'm like, you too, and it's like, you already bad at 2? At 2?
When they gave, they did. When they gave us these young men, they
said,
said,
2-year-old.
Yeah, they said this young man is known for picking up and throwing chairs at teachers.
Wow.
This young man, they started labeling the behavior, right? You know, behavior is systemic, right? Behavior is that iceberg. So, like, if this is the behavior, then what I do is, as opposed to just addressing the behavior, I need to get to the systemic belief system, right? Like, how is this young man being indoctrinated, taught, trained, educated? What is it about his young life that would cause him at 2 and a half to pick up a chair and throw it?
Yeah.
Where did he learn this?
Yeah.
So if it is true, if psychology is true, if 95% of our behavior is learned, then, and I know it's been popular to say, then there must be a process to unlearn that response and then to learn a new response, right?
Yeah.
That's where mindfulness works come in. That's where it comes, like, deep breathing. That's where it comes from embodiment work. That's where it comes from positive affirmations. So we did all that. So I love the East Side. Then when I worked at McDowell Preparatory Academy, or even before McDowell Preparatory Academy, which is right there on West Side of Drive between Wyoming and Myers, right? I worked at Evergreen Children Family Services.
Oh, yeah.
Right? You know? So, and so working right there on 7 Mile, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I got a chance to see people, there's a sense of wanting to belong, right? Like, so it's like, okay, well, what crew are you with?
Yeah.
Or what clique are you with? Or how does that align with whether it's a car club or a motorcycle club or a, whatever, or a professional association, like
fraternities, sorority, church, mosque.
So it was like, okay, when you're on the West Side, it's basically like, who you with? right? That's where I would know, like, who you with.
Yeah.
Like, clearly identify right now. Let me know. And that's going to determine how I respond.
A lot of the relationship.
Yeah, the relationship, right? And so I was like, oh, okay. Well, see, that's how we get down over here. You know, from the, when I was on the East, it just felt like a everybody knew everybody type deal, right?
Yeah.
And then when I came to, like, well, probably I felt that way because my wife's family was over there. But, you know, then when I came to the West, I got the same amount of love.
Wow.
I got the same amount of love because it was like, Mr. Ebron, he loves us.
Yeah.
He's the one thing they asked, it was so funny because I was working at a school and a dad called up there because his daughter, and at that time, here's the dynamic so you understand, mom and dad are going through a divorce, right?
Yeah.
Daughter's taking it extremely hard. Son is expressing behaviors that are somewhere on the spectrum, right?
Yeah.
Mom is having a gross challenge because the dad has moved to Canton. And he has all the pleasantries and amenities.
Yeah.
The mom is still on the block in the hood,
Yeah.
and she's struggling to make it and provide.
Yeah.
Daughter's having a challenge. Dad is being the more passive parent. So not providing structure or discipline, just kind of letting her get away with murder. Yeah. And he tells her that she can go to sleep in class. Well, in my class,
that's not a rule that we accept.
We're not. And here's what they used to laugh at me because I told people, I would tell them, I said, all right, in this class today, we are learning. If you did not come to school today to learn, I give you full express permission to go to the office, to call your parent, and to ask them to pick you up. But if you are interested in learning, right?
Wow.
If you are interested in expressing the God-given potential you have to be great, you're in the right place.
Wow.
Everybody ready to go, so I get them fired up. We ready to learn. She's like, I'm going to sleep. And I was like, first is, you know, expressing concern and care, right? Before you challenge, express concern and care. Like, did you have a long night? Let's figure out. No, my daddy told me I could come in here and go to sleep. Your daddy is sadly mistaken, you know? But what we can do is we can both call dad. So dad says, I told my daughter what she could do. And whether it's your classroom or the other people's or anybody else's classroom, what I say to her, I said, well, sir, I'm sorry that our expectations don't align. And I'll be more than willing to meet with you, but your daughter's not going to be able to sleep in my room. I'm getting ready to, you know, XYZ. I said, sir, I will be waiting outside. I clocked out. You know, I'm not recommending this. I'm just saying, I clocked out. I said, let's meet outside. So he calls another teacher because I'm suited and booted every day. And he asked the teacher, he said, is Mr. Ebron just a suit? He said, no, Ebron is not just a suit, man. You know, so then he calls back and he's apologetic because when he thought I was just a suit, he was willing to essentially try my gangster, right? Like to say, like, I'm going to assert my authority here. And when he realized that I had some of the same similar life experiences that he had, then he was willing to communicate. Point that I'm making here is that, and I share with him, I said, if your daughter refuses to learn in this environment, does that harm you as a parent? Not necessarily. Does that harm me as a teacher? Not necessarily. Does that harm your daughter as a student? Absolutely. And because whether you agree with me or not, because I know you love your daughter, I believe you wouldn't intentionally position her to be harmed. Mr. E, I can't say what he said, but Mr. E, you my guy, right?
Yes.
And so adapt him up, you know, and from that point, we begin to partner for his daughter's success.
That's deep.
And so people want their children to succeed. People want to succeed. But when they are engaging with systems that have traditionally caused harm and people who haven't traditionally expressed love to them, what they want to do is assert their authority over that environment, particularly their child being in that environment. Once they realize that you are real and that you love and care for their children, I haven't had a parent who has not made the full circle to say, I didn't agree with you. Matter of fact, I had made a decision that
Hilarious.
you know, but when I saw that you was real and that you're not just here for a check, these are the, you know, then I realized that you my guy.
That's deep.
And so many people give up in the process of cultivating that relationship because that's what we were doing. Because what they were trying to see is, can my relationship with you bear the weight of this conflict?
Yeah.
And because this is what I tell mentors, and I'm really hard on mentors. I am. Children don't need another failed relationship in their life. And so if you're not going to be in that young person's life, I'm talking about good, bad, thick, thin, college career, courtroom, whatever it is. If you're not going to be in that young person's life, if you're not committed to that degree, don't call yourself a mentor.
That's deep. Which on that same point, we were kind of talking about this before, but let's go here then. Why in a lot of these spaces where we're looking at the development of young people, why are so few Black men in that space? First off, rest in peace to Dr. Jawaza Kenjufu.
Oh, yes, sir.
Like
man.
like a leading scholar into many of the discussions about the relationship in Black boys. And I think that his books, he has books that, and it's not like it's a Bible or anything, but I definitely think that if you're interacting with young Black men, Black or white or whatever race you are, whatever age you are, even if you're a young Black man, that like getting some of his materials will be help guides through that.
Yes.
But why are there so few Black men in some of those spaces, you think?
Yeah, so like you said, first, rest in peace to Dr. Jawaza Kenjufu. I had the opportunity on several occasions to hold court and audience with him as a young man in, was it grade school or high school? I had a chance to meet him and talk to him.
Wow.
And he had a way of listening to you and affirming your greatness from the gate, right? And then I had a chance, we invited him as our keynote speaker for our MLK program when I was the president of our Black Student Union at Tri-State University.
Wow.
Tri-State University, I'll give you some numbers here. It's Northeast Indiana, 1,500 students on campus, 25 Black people, 17 young men, 8 young ladies. So imagine navigating that space, right?
You got that right.
Yeah, Northeast Indiana. I'll just say that again, right?
Yeah.
And so the reason that a lot of us are not in that space right now, and we're talking about brown and Black men across education, is there are less than 2% or roughly 2% in the nation of Black men in education, period. That's early childhood all the way through high school, right? So one of the reasons that could be is the pay is not all that great. Like, so when you're trying to start a family, lead a family, you've paid for these degrees, you've gone through the work to qualify you to be in this particular space, you have a lifestyle that you envisioned living, and you get to the pay is not that awesome, right? But then your passion begins to create space for you. So I tell any young man, any man thinking about going into education, that as a Black man navigating the educational space, if you have the desire to be an administrator, if you had the desire to go on to central office or superintendency, like there's a likelihood in a space for you to be able to be there, but you're going to have to make a decision about how you navigate it. Because a lot of time when Black men's presence come into the environment, they want to make us the strict disciplinarian or the heavy, not one who cultivates restoratively the relationships with the young people that produce critical thinkers, right? And so you have to make a decision about how you're going to navigate that landscape. Because even if there is a dean, I was a dean of climate and culture, but let's just say you enter in as a classroom teacher or sometimes a parapro, or even an assistant teacher and you're going to get your CDA, whatever that is, people bring you in to be the disciplinarian, right? They want you to come in as
basically Joe Clark.
Yeah, they want you to come in as the heavy, right? And this is how you talk, and you scream and you yell, and and I'm like, listen, no, that's not my approach.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Well, my approach was restorative because I knew that if I got you to think critically, then the behavior that you're expressing
will naturally shift.
Yeah. Because I've given you some self-agency, watch this, the environment, the space, and the information to process. So most of the young men, and I'm overgeneralizing, but most of the young men, you have action, immediate response. But if I can have an action occur, this is something they taught us, our elders, right?
Yeah.
Take time to think. And you create the space before your response, then you are more likely, hopefully, to make a better choice.
Yeah.
What does that mean? You have a regulated nervous system.
Yeah.
That you have the ability to breathe, that you're not operating off of the brainstem, that you're not in survival mode. When the young men came in my environment, and this is what, and I know a lot of great brothers that are doing some really, really great work. I know Curtis, who was doing with the Black Male Achievement, but now is boldly moving education forward with Anton Phillips. I know that Russell Harris with Warrior Academy doing great work. I know Otis Bellinger with Building Better Men.
Yeah.
Jason Wilson with the Cave of Adullam. I know it's right on the tip of my tongue. I'm looking at it.
I mean,
Tucson Knight.
Yeah.
With Caught Up. So like there are several spaces where men are doing great work. And if you think about all of the men that I've just named, they started in the educational space. They led in the educational space. But when you're talking about the liberation of Black men, specifically Black male achievement that includes a holistic approach, the system is not designed for that.
Wow.
And so what ends up happening is the system begins to apply pressure when you're bringing too much liberation to the mind, heart, and space of young Black men specifically, because then it begins to defy the statistics that make some of the aspects of education lucrative for those who have a different mind. So you see they end up cultivating nonprofits, right?
Yeah.
That are for them not regulating, what they're able to do, right? As far as liberating the minds and hearts, creating safe and brave spaces for young men to become great men in our community. So that's part of the reason is the pay, the systemic pressure and the stress of navigating the bureaucracy of aligning the intent of your action with the organizational goals or the systemic goals can sometimes come in conflict, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because you are in some ways, and we talk about this when people are beginning their equity journey, is that sometimes you have to own the fact that you have been a pusher of oppressive frameworks that have harmed your people because you were part of the educational system.
That's deep.
Yeah, and so it's an eye opener that sometimes white supremacy will infiltrate your actions of intending to do good, but because you're an agent of the system, you're perpetuating the same thought that created the harm.
That's deep, and as you're saying that, is so many points that, and I love that the way you shared that too, from that like personal vision, because another thing that I think begins to exist in that space, because like I mean, like I'm being real serious, especially like when you give the numbers that you all see, like you can go through getting a PhD, be from a chocolate city like Detroit, and even go to HBCUs, and still possibly, like I say, I mean, if you can get up to 6 Black male teachers, that sometimes would be phenomenal.
Yeah.
And and also like that same relationship of you saying like of being more of a disciplinarian or the roles that exist, but also being the role of like, okay, as you move in, they will usher you more into like an administrative role. And this not just in education, in other fields and everything, but it becomes so tough because so many of these studies about the behavior of students rely so much on Black and brown, but definitely a lot of young Black males and where they stand at in research. And as a Northwestern graduate, I led the alumni chapter for maybe like 8, maybe 9 years, for a long time. And then, you constantly hear about like good schools versus bad schools, which I don't necessarily know if I want to define anything like that per se, but I'm going to say like definitely certain schools have access to other opportunities. So when you open the books at a school like Northwestern and you see that, it's like, damn, it was, at one point in time, Detroit Public Schools is getting some money from Homeland Security connected to coming to Northwestern. You know what I'm saying? There were weapon sweeps and gun sweeps at Northwestern. And I ain't necessarily saying that guns weren't present or drugs weren't present for the sweeps to happen, but it's back to like, if you create this space, it's a lane for like bad school money and resources, like it's a lane for good school money and resources. And as I'm sharing this, and it's not necessarily definitely, I love NO. Like, I'm not trying to like demean a Northwestern. I think that this is probably very prevalent probably throughout the nation in communities like this. But it's like the what will exist here and how it will exist here and how it even functions and it connects with the night school, second chance school at the time when I was there, and like how like damn near like it's resources however you want it, but definitely in our community, the resources for the quote unquote bad school become way more abundant and easier to access. And it becomes even tough. It was a gang squad unit at Northwestern when I'm there. Like, you knew the gang squad officers just due to the neighborhoods that are, at Northwesterns that, like, I always share. And, my homie, Dr. Yusuf Bunchy Shakur speaks a whole lot about this. Is like one of those members of Zone 8. But even gang culture, definitely when I'm there, it functions differently with like the number streets and Zone 8 and Dexter, Linwood, and like, but it's back to like the way to navigate it. It's like, damn, you know what I'm saying? It's like an active gang squad unit that has like a station here to deal with things. And like, I mean, was it like one or two incidents a year where it's like, yeah, it was good for having there, but still just even that being in the back of mind, this is, it's a different relationship. And I still think that so much of this is still definitely around the idea of a lot of the young black men that was in school like me and my homies and you know what I'm saying, the other kids that were there. It just, like seeing that, because it's like the bad school is certain things that are coming there that never even make their way into the good school. And being a person that's, I started at King and having other connections and doing things and seeing like how Cranbrook exists and, my nephew was going to Waldorf, like seeing some of these, like, I guess, quote unquote, good schools, so much of the difference dealt so much with the access to a lot of the opportunities that were around it, more so than like even the teachers that were in it. Cause I think still, bar none, some of those Northwestern teachers are amazing. Those resources, and you've been in that space where you're like supplementally supporting a school, and in some neighborhoods, what's looked at as supplemental is damn near what I think needs to be considered necessary. Please share, and I know that's a long diatribe, but I want people to follow. But my question for you is like, as those outside things try to get inside, and it's going to get a little bit longer here because I've shared this type of stuff with people. Like, Northwestern has a radio television studio. It's a planetarium inside of Northwestern High School, and the planetarium was run by years for Mr. Tyson. And as Mr. Tyson retires and then passes on, the school system doesn't have, like, you have to have a teacher that has the experience to run a planetarium if a person doesn't know. So basically a planetarium is, if you old school and hood like me, you done seen the movie The Mac, and Max Julian, like, got his ladies, like, looking up at the stars and stuff. But, like, it's, the Science Center has one. It's basically like seeing the whole solar system in a space. It's inside Northwestern.
Yeah.
We had a science teacher that could do earth science and also extend into that. So there were constantly like younger DPS schools always going on trips through the planetarium.
That's right.
But you need to have like like on one end, you have to have a school that has the test scores of all the student body to get to a point to get the planetarium teacher. And then furthermore, you also need to have the numbers of students at the school to get a lot of these things that are more so considered supplemental that I think still maybe need to be looked at as foundational. So I always uplift that as like, some of these resources and assets we're not even able to tap into because of either the test scores or the student count. And it's like always like a dance between test scores, students count, test scores, student count. And it's so weird because you need more students, test scores lower. You know what I'm saying? And you get better test scores, need more students. So like we're pulling and pushing, just trying to get what was there before. And it was very unique for me. I'm really going long on this because even in leading the alumni, most of the alumni, this is like the class really from the late 60s, maybe early 70s, and the reality of they had at Northwestern and what was abundantly there. And shout out to a lot of people. But I mean, it was to a point where multiple people, Ray Parker Jr. is one of them. Like, you could leave Northwestern High School, walk down the street to Motown, and you possibly be on a tour with Stevie Wonder or Diana Ross just from the music department that was inside of Northwestern. And right now, it's like, can we get somebody just to want to volunteer extra time to teach band?
Yeah, things change, and things are labeled based upon where dollars are able to be allocated, right? We talk so like when you see titles change, money shifting.
Yeah.
And so generally titles are changed of programs or teachers or because the dollars have shifted, right? And so you got to think about the socio-political state of, first of all, the nation, then our particular state, and then how the city is deploying it and pushing resources forward. You take a place like Northwestern, and what you're really talking about, bring it into this day's languages, that was early exposure to STEM, right?
Yeah.
So that science, technology, engineering, and math, how the arts and cultures created a space. We know what art and culture does for the brain. It expands it. It also plays a part in regulating central nervous system. Think about it like this. When you want to set the mood, whether you want to get excited or hype, you're playing something rhythmic with that 808 pounding through, right?
Yeah, very true.
If you want something more tranquil, you're playing something with some smooth
chords and keys.
Chords and keys. And then if you are looking to get people's attention, like, the elevator music or classical music has a way of stimulating the synaptic roots of your brain. So like there's some literally things that are in band and in music and in art, that embodiment of reconciling your mind, your spirit, and your body is happening. So that's why you're at peace, right? And so that's what was happening there. And people start cutting funding to those programs because they start labeling it as ancillary, right? To those core subjects, right?
Yeah.
And then funding begin to drop. And then those who generally are looking into the sciences or your maths or technology or music have a passion for that because they either intended to pursue a professional career, but they love it, right?
Yeah.
And so some of them leave it because of the neglect that happens in those departments. Can't get enough instruments for the number of students that you have, right? And then school districts are playing with those numbers because I'll just bring it to this day and age. There's still a great percentage of children who have not returned to school since COVID.
Very true.
Right? So, I mean,
Very true.
the ADA or the average daily attendance, you can't reach your academic standards and scores that the state has regulated based upon the amount of funding that is necessary and or just per pupil head count if the children are not showing up. That's why parties are being thrown for count day, right? But then imagine a school, just imagine your studio, right? So it's like you get so much per pupil, right? And then the children decide not to come. But then they don't come during count day or count week or the count window. But then you are responsible for allocating resources to be able to educate that child. And so you have this conundrum, right? That you're balancing deficient resources, and then you have all of the social determinants of health that are impacting the community that you serve. That's why the community schools model is so critical. If you think about the people that you named, even with the violence and the things that were taking place and the different gangs, there were some teachers in there that lived on your block, that lived in your neighborhood, right? That were a part of your community.
I mean, my shout out to Doug. He's passed on, but I mean, shit, Mr. Douglas. Excuse my French. He was actually in an armed robbery attempt. He was shot in the parking lot. And that happened in I graduated in 2001. That happened in like the mid-90s, but he still stayed committed to coming back all the time.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he was, actually, anytime I interact with young people, I'm always thinking about Mr. Duckley. He was one of them guys that school starts on Thursday, you owe him a composition in English by Friday. You like, yo, duh.
Yeah. Yeah, he's placing a demand on your greatness, right?
Yeah.
And so it is the way to overcome fear is with massive action, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, and you cannot be afraid of the people that you're serving.
Yeah.
Even when dangerous things are present. One thing I have to this day, I was walking around a school, I'm not going to name the school. I was walking around a school and I end up picking up bullet shells that were on the inside of my building.
Wow.
And I keep it just as a recognition of them knowing, like, I'm there. I was there for a purpose and a cause. I'm going to express my urban proclivities here.
Yeah.
I ain't never scared, right?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But I am aware.
Yeah.
Right? So that was something that my mother taught me as a Marine. Never be afraid, always be aware, but be definitely afraid when you know you're grossly unaware.
Yeah. True.
Yeah.
True.
And so I just always was aware. I've had, when I was in school, fights would break out, and it's residential, community. I'm going back to the community schools piece.
Yeah.
And they didn't call the police or run to grab anybody else. Guess who they ran to grab? They came to get me.
Well, that's even better.
Mr. Ebron.
Yeah.
They outside in the car loaded up.
That's deep.
And so they looking for so-and-so. I go out there, and I'm not advocating this. You can only do this if you have a relationship. The schools that I worked in, I walked the community. I knocked on the doors. I met the elders. I got in touch with the president of the block club. I learned the history. I knew where my students lived. I knew that they were a third generation at this particular school. Like, I learned and I created community. So when I came out there to address the people who were in the car, loaded up, ready to take action, I was a familiar face they knew that they could trust. Went to the car, said, hey, man, I'm going to be straight up with you. Y'all ain't getting ready to do nothing to nobody at my school. So whatever y'all do in community, I'm not with it. I figure, and y'all need to figure out another way, but y'all got to ride, man. Pack it up.
Yeah.
Gave a little tap on the car, and guess what they did? Rolled out. When the community can become a neutral zone and a safe space for children to be children. I'll give another example. I had a young man who his dad was using him as the mule because children don't get charged,
Yeah.
So he had a burner phone, his regular phone.
Yeah.
He would leave school to go do deals and come back to school. And one day, he got ready to come back in the building, and I learned about how he was doing it, and I was standing right up the door. I said, I'm going to talk to you like you, my son. I said, first of all, do you know how much danger you are attracting back to my school? I have hundreds of students in here that are expecting to be able to come here unharmed. I was like, when you come to this school, young man, I was like, you can be a child. You don't have to try to be, and man, listen, these are big babies. I don't care how hardcore you think. And I told him, I said, listen, you're not really tough. You may come from a tough place, but most of the young men I meet right now in this day, like, you're not tough. You may be doing tough things and come from a tough circumstance, but you are not tough. Oh, Mr. E, I said, no, I've met tough. You are not tough. You're just a young man who needs a space to be able to be a kid. Gave him a hug. Oh, man, he teared this whole side of my jacket just wet, soaked. And I'm like, listen, when I'm interacting and partnering with parents, this is my baby too. So the dad, the granddad and the grandmom and the dad come in because somehow social work learns about what's happening. The dad walks in. He asks for the phone. Kari, believe it or not, this man took the phone and left his son sitting in my office.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's deep.
What you expect from this young man?
Yeah.
I said, man, if you can make it to school, I got you.
That's deep.
I understand, and I'm realistic.
Yeah.
So I said, listen, when you leave school, to my young men, between the school building and the time you get to your home, you may have to knuck if you buck. I'm not going to even lie to you. You may have to.
Yeah.
So them skills that you have where you know how to throw those things a scrap, that might be a necessary skill for the environment that you have to navigate to get here.
Mm-hmm.
But once you get here, I got you.
Mm-hmm.
So then all of a sudden, now everything is like, oh yeah, Mr. E. And people sometimes have a challenge with that dynamic as a leader because they want your results, but they don't want to invest what it takes to build that relationship.
That's deep. Yeah, I've it's a couple close relationships I've developed, especially when I was doing more connected to younger people, because I definitely think one of the keys, definitely when dealing with younger people, is a lot of patience. But right now, even like with my crew, my young guys love them. You know what I'm saying? And it's like I'm becoming an old guy, so they grown.
You the OG,
exactly,
or just Unc? Are you?
I'm probably like Unc going to OG.
All right.
But it's but one of the things, and I shared this too, is some of the conversations and confidence that they share with me, and it's been tough, especially with where, the way that I feel like myself and many of my friends kind of grew up, and things shift. I mean, things are the same, but a lot of stuff is different in like how, and just so many of them that have been diagnosed with learning disorders, developmental disorders, even mental, and I guess now, because what is it, neurodivergence. And it's so weird because it's like some of the opening up about that was like so early on to some of them working with me that just processing that, and I'm thinking like, damn, you know what I'm saying? Like this is a young Black man that's 22 opening up about what he can and cannot do based on work and everything. And I'm just thinking to myself like, I'm like 20 years his senior, and I couldn't even imagine being that same age, being at a job if like, what if it's, a white man, a white woman, or even possibly a Black woman, or possibly a Black man that just doesn't like have have that lens of like, you've already walking in with so many of these limitations that it's been heavy. You know what I'm saying? So just being way more mindful about a lot of this. We spoke a little bit about this as before we started this, but you gave more of this scope. But yeah, some of the stuff that a lot of these kids are being labeled at young ages, and it just like carries on and it calcifies. What's happening there?
So first of all, let me say specifically young Black men, we're being overdiagnosed in educational environments, ADHD and autism without having the proper resources. Number one, the diagnoses, you need to go do your research, because let me give it to you how it's happening, right? Imagine a school system with not enough clinicians, right? Not enough psychologists. And so children go and listen, when you organize parents and give them the right information, I hope that you're prepared to do the work required, because the psychologist that's coming in, that's providing these diagnoses, they have countless students to see. And so the teachers are not even providing enough information to adequately create a diagnosis. It's supposed to be what's called a multi-tiered system of support, right? And that multi-tiered system of support, there are 3 tiers, right? There's that base tier, tier 1 interventions, where those are supposed to be in classroom supports. They're supposed to be somewhere between, at a minimum, 3 months of actual documentation of the interventions that are taking place in order to support that student in the classroom. Now, for my teachers advocating here, imagine having a classroom full of young people who are not self-regulated nor have the skills to self-regulate, and you're required, based upon this pacing chart, to be at a certain place in your curriculum by X date, and you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 students that are popping off in your classroom. you're like, okay, I need some social worker support. I need some administrative support, whether it's the dean, vice principal, principal. We need to set a meeting with the parent, to potentially look at an individualized education plan. So I want to approach this with grace, but I also want to give the information, right? So if I don't have at least 90 days of interventions and supports to cause them to go from tier 1 to tier 2, where that's administrative support that provides behavioral support, and that's where that dean or that vice principal should be kicking in. And then that's another somewhere 3 months of support that those documented interventions, difference. It's not documenting the behavior. It is documenting the interventions that have been applied with fidelity to try to teach, train, educate, equip this young person to regulate.
Wow.
And then you get to tier 3. Tier 3 is once that individualized education plan happens, and all of this happens with the intent that because of the interventions and supports, we want to be able to move that child back down to tier 1 so that the classroom interventions can support their learning.
That's deep that you break a lot of that down, because the other thing, as you're sharing a lot of that information, is what you shared before of the attendance record that goes on. So to get, depending upon, especially high school, to get 90 days, it may take, like half the school year.
Yeah. So imagine Mondays are not good, right?
Yeah.
Fridays are even worse. Mm-hmm. People come in to school Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday maybe, right?
Yep.
And some of our babies who have, they're missing school for whatever reasons, right?
Yeah.
It is not that they need to be diagnosed. It is that the school structure. Not gonna bother that. I'm not gonna bother the structure. We need to switch some things up. But the school structure, or how education is being administered, or the indoctrination process, the coaching training process, is not what they're getting at home. Mm-hmm. And so the sit it and get it won't work. Yeah. We know that from early childhood on that music and movement needs to be a part of how people learn, specifically how we learn.
You got that right.
And if you having me sit here as a dean, this is what I used to say. Yeah. I would ask, especially teachers who were just ready to give up on children. I'm not talking about the teachers that are trying. Yeah. I said, what's that child's middle name? Mm-hmm. What's that child's mama's name? Mm. You don't know. Mm-hmm. You don't have a relationship. And all of your action with this child is purely corrective.
Yeah.
So, yes, I understand. And you don't think that child feels that they don't belong or are welcomed in your room? Mm. You think you're going to get the best of me when I know I'm not welcome? You think you're going to get the best of me when I know you don't believe in me? If one thing in an urban environment, specifically in Detroit, is real, recognize real. They may not know all of the scientific or mathematic equations, but I can look in your eye and tell it if you care about me as a person. Mm-hmm. Because I have to read whether somebody is for me or not when I'm on the block, so I know that if I'm safe or not.
Very fast.
Yeah. And so I can assert from the very beginning, from our first interaction. I remember specifically some of my the young ladies, and they would be popping off with some. Now listen, you haven't seen any drama or conflict or fighting. You see some young ladies get into it.
I've had the experience of I'm gonna say instructor more so. The kids be like, you taught studio at a couple last chance schools. So it's like, boy, it drew me back even to some of the Northwestern stuff. But like how fast a knife will come out and girls get their face slashed and everything. Like even that scene in I want to say it's The Wire season 4 where the middle school girls do it. I'm like, damn, I've seen that. Definitely.
Here's what's interesting about that with and this is what I'm encouraging educators who I know do it well, is that you don't have to talk loud or yell because I'm already listening. Mm-hmm. You don't have to talk fast because I already desire to believe you. And so if you know that, then all of that stuff that you've manufactured as a coping mechanism to make sure that your voice is heard, to make sure people know like that who you are, your identity, all of that is welcomed and acknowledged. If I remove all of that, then I get a chance to really connect with your heart. Because all of the fast talking and the loud talking and I'm not talking about culturally just how we get down, right? The rhythm of things, but I'm talking about all of the coping mechanisms to fight to be heard. Like when you remove that and children know, hey, you don't have to yell. I'm already listening.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, no, for real. I'm already listening. So go ahead. And when they know that, you get a different expression to them. And some of the things that I remember our teacher asked, because they were trying to hate on my relationship, say, don't try to act good now. Because Mr. Ebron is, here.
Mm-hmm.
They're like, well, Mr. Ebron listens to us.
That's deep.
And so you can diffuse a lot of conflict. And I've even had a young person come down, because people who love to fight, and I said, well, listen, if you feel like you're getting ready to fight, I give you permission to leave the classroom. Teacher didn't like that. I said, well, let me ask you a question. Do you want her leaving your classroom, or do you want her fighting in your classroom? What I'm doing is building a pathway so that she eventually can self-regulate within herself so that she doesn't have to fight in your classroom. But right now, I'm engaging her fear response and saying, if you're getting ready to fight, flight first.
Mm-hmm.
And so she would flight, come down on fire. Mr. Ebron, I'm getting ready to bust so-and-so in the face and this and this and this and that. And I said, well, I first of all, just let her vent.
Mm-hmm.
Then I say, every action has a consequence. Good actions produce this. I know you feel like they deserve that.
Yeah.
And sometimes you just feel like somebody's got to catch these hands, right?
Yes.
What that does for me, though, is because I also have to operate by this. If you go do that, then that puts me in a position to have to do this.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want me to have, is this what you want?
Yeah.
Oh, well, no, I don't want that, but I do want to bust them in the face, And I was like, what you're not considering is, and then what?
Mm-hmm.
Then what? You do that, then what? Think past the current action you want to take and consider the then what. Are they valuable enough to remove your opportunity to be in the educational environment? No, they ain't worth nothing. So I just let them talk junk,
Yeah.
Oh, well, okay, so you're going to let their action influence your life. So who has control here? You or them? Clearly you don't. Because she said this, and then now it solicited this response from you. So it sounds like she's controlling you. Well, no. I said, so now you have to exercise what we call self-control. And don't let anybody get you out of your square.
Yeah.
And so then I walked through all that process and I shared that story to say, there are many adults right now.
Yeah, I often say, imagine if, I don't know, 300 of us in the same neighborhood had to go to a building from 8 o'clock to 3 o'clock.
Yeah.
And transition where it's a different set of the 30 of us every day. I think it would be, it'd probably be some very violent.
It would go down, right?
Yeah. Because just the process of that. I think and interesting and definitely not with the same focus, but the victory I had, I remember one of the kids was like, man, I done popped three beans Molly today, Mr. Frazier. I can't come in class. And I was like, Mr. Andrews.
Yeah.
It's always, I like using the last name. I was with Mr. Douglas because I think part of it, especially for young men, I think they like to definitely be recognized for their manhood. And it's let me at least give this offering first.
That's right.
And now we can, build from there. You know what I'm saying? So it's yes, Mr. Andrews, and let's not necessarily find ourselves needing Mr. Douglas used to say all types of stuff, let's not necessarily find ourselves needing to look for outside substances and just giving them words. Same thing Mr. Douglas would do, and then they'd be like, Mr. Frazier got them words.
Yeah, because here's the thing, so it's about asking people to consider their why.
Yeah.
So when we talked about overdiagnosis, like that comes with like a sets of medication that puts the body in a state of sometimes kids stop taking it because they feel like a zombie or they don't feel like themselves. They're not able to regulate, and they know that the medication
is having that impact.
Is having an impact, or they're self-medicating through Molly or marijuana or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, it's about helping people build, those self-regulating skills. And it's going to take a caring, loving person, right, to be able to spit that knowledge to them and give them like consideration. Like, okay, without attacking what they're doing, have them investigate why. So, okay, you smoke. Well, why? Why do you smoke? Oh, I smoke because you don't. It's not just because you just like it. Like, when I smoke, I feel like all my problems go away. Oh, so what are some of those problems that you need to confront, right? Because problems do not just go away. They have to be confronted. So then we start talking about life skills. You remember that there used to be a whole curriculum around life skills that used to come into schools, right? And it was designed to help teach them, about, oh man.
So like a lot of stuff, like it was kind of, this is maybe like 7th grade, like along with peer mediation. So it'd be like budgeting. It'd be like how to properly like budget your time. You're gonna need to know how to study in college for this, that, and the other.
Yeah,
and a lot of introduction stuff. I definitely was that kid talking the whole way through, but
yeah, it was the 3 C's I was trying to remember, Carl. So the 3 C's of life skills, because I used to be a teacher of life skills. It was clarify, consider, and choose. Clarify the purpose, consider the actions and the consequences, and then make a choice. And when you help people learn how to make better choices or gather the information that leads to better choices, they generally do it.
Yeah, it's kind of the like the law of attraction. Like at the baseline, it just won't work if you just keep thinking about if you just keep thinking about moving, living off a beach. That's not gonna do that. But what you're probably gonna do is the natural selection of it is you're gonna start. I think the law of attraction it's just like, it's a common sense thing, because as you think more about whatever you're looking to attract, you're gonna move in that direction. You're not gonna be thinking, okay, I'm gonna get a 6-pack and be eating, 10 pizzas every day. Logically, you wouldn't do that. You know what I'm saying? So I think a lot kind of goes into that. And when we talk about going, and clearly, everybody watching this knows that I'm getting a lot of this information from Andre, and this has been real powerful interview. But you have this information, and now through consultancy, you're willing to work with other organizations, step in and offer some of the skill sets. I know you got some books and other things, but more so, where do you see you working in community and taking a lot of what you learned and being able to assist?
Absolutely. So for you all who have been following my journey, and for those who are new, I invite you to all my social media so that you can kind of grow with me. So I have now a decade in as a social worker, direct service from micro to macro level. So from being sandbag to sandbag, with helping people feel crises with the right connections and resources that advance their goals in life and help them get a new trajectory, to like helping shape policy for how child welfare is administered in southeastern Michigan. I have another decade in the educational field of everything from classroom teacher. I began my career in education as a substitute teacher.
Okay,
so
that's real ground level.
like ground level substitute teacher, paraprofessional.
Really
Look, blended learning coach when we were using technology to accelerate or remediate students' learning, to being a building administrator, and then I have been a nonprofit executive for the last 5+ years, and grateful for the work that I was able to do with United Way deploying over $3 million to 84 local BIPOC-led, Black, Indigenous, people of color-led organizations.
Wow.
So I'm talking about the grassroots. I know from the grassroots to the up top organizations and what that looks like. And so now, Ebron and Associates, where we consult, develop, and support personal, professional, and organizational transformation. I'm looking to partner with schools, school systems. I'm looking to partner with corporations that are looking to increase their bottom line by centering and cultivating a climate and culture that will support their staff, because your organization or corporation will only function at the degree and quality that you are supporting your team. So for all of my CEOs out there, whether you're at a startup or whether you are already at scale, Fortune 5, like the quality of your organization will be determined by how you are centering the climate and culture of making it a great place to work. We see people do that with, what I can come and bring, professional development, series of learnings, helping leaders recenter their people in a way that cultivates the trust necessary in order for people to produce their best and be their best. And then also in school systems, and I'll say this, listen, children are coming back to school.
There we go.
They're coming back to school in January. Do you have a plan for them? Do you have a plan that celebrates how great they can be? Do you have your, I want to know, do you have your professional development ready for your teachers that celebrates the hard work that they put in every single day? And I'm not just talking about pizza parties. I'm talking about action that helps cultivate their inner potential. If you say, Andre, what is your assignment, part of your assignment here on earth that you're expressing through your business? I am able to help cultivate human potential based upon divine purpose. Like the people that are in front of you have a purpose. And if you are leading them and you're not helping them cultivate their potential that gets them closer to the full expression of their purpose, you're doing them a disservice. But there's hope. You can invite me in, Ebron and Associates.
I'm with it.
Listen, ebronassociates.com. I ask people, I've written a book called The Drawing Board. And I wrote this book years ago, and I dedicated it to my mom, to my children, to my wife, to my father-in-law, to my mother-in-law, my brothers, my sisters.
Yeah.
And then I dedicated it to my mentors, right? No man, no person gets to where they are without someone giving them the gift of mentorship.
Yeah.
And so to Dr. Oscar J. Dowdell Nelson Underwood, who was instrumental. He was the first Black teacher in Indiana to be awarded Teacher of the Year.
Wow.
He started the school that I went to, Cornerstone Christian College Preparatory School in Fort Wayne, Indiana.
Okay.
And, really helped me understand that being Christ-centered in my expression and my belief will help me lead with love, and to, no matter where people are in their lives, to see them as God has created them, right? He was also my pastor too. So even before I knew who I was, he knew who I was. And then Chief Apostle Dr. Carol E. Dixon, who's my pastor and mentor now, who, when you were sharing about the law of attraction, it reminded me of a quote that she says. It says that your life will go in the direction of your most dominant thought.
Interesting.
So be careful what you think, right?
Interesting.
And so this book is The Drawing Board. I'm inviting everybody going into your new year to go back to the drawing board. And it's a powerful, thought-provoking testimonial that challenges you, the reader, to examine your life and reimagine the possibility. Then I have this book, Mind Your Business.
Hilarious.
Self-care strategies and mindfulness practices designed to reduce the negative effects of mind your business. Mind your business. I saw Karen Dumas. She put up a post. She said, I'm sending everybody a 1099 who was in my business.
Yeah, I saw that post too.
Yeah, that was hilarious to me. So, but I'm asking you to mind your business, right? Self-care strategies, mindfulness practices designed to reduce the negative effects of stress. Each day has with it a principle, a focus, a self-care strategy, and a mindfulness exercise. It's a 31-day journal.
Okay.
You can grab that. And then I'm excited to announce that I am releasing a third book.
There we go.
And it's called The Sketch Collection.
Okay.
Messages from moments that matter most. What we talked about, and what I share here at Detroit is Different, is I share some of my moments, right? Shared the moment about when my mom in the house was a haven, right?
Yeah.
Shared the moment about when I found bullet casings, shell casings in the school. I shared the moment of when there was somebody out there and they looked like there was going to be impending danger. But those moments have the power. There's so much wisdom there.
Yeah.
There's so much information there. There's so much power there. And I believe each of us in our moments may have left some power back in that moment. So I'm challenging folks to look at the anatomy of a moment, right? Unpack that and go back and reclaim that personal power that will advance you in the most, here we go, in the direction of your destiny. So I want you can pre-order the book today. Matter of fact, Kari's going to get online right after the show ends.
I'm
He's going to pre-order.
I'm for real.
I'm serious.
I'm copy. I mean, it actually, that sounds like you could make that into like a whole podcast just talking about people in like those moments that, just have, because I think life's filled like that. I mean, obviously me podcasting, but like I think life is filled with like things that happen, it connects, and sometimes those things aren't as monumentous as like, you know what I'm saying? It's like, oh, I jumped in front of this or that. And sometimes it can be as small as you choose to take this class, and then in that class you meet this person, or you know what I'm saying? Like it's a lot of just, a moment in life sometimes can change the whole direction of everything in life.
You heard that from Kari Frazier.
Yeah.
Reasons to Buy, the sketch collection, right? By Andre Ebron. You can go to ebronassociates.com, get your copy today. But this is the tag for it. Life is lived, experienced, and remembered in moments.
That's deep. I like it. All right, now classic Detroit is different questions here. Your very first car, year, make, and model, year you got it.
Oh, man. This is funny. So it was 98, right? I had an 88.
Okay.
Cadillac Sedan DeVille.
Oh, man, it had some days on it.
Yeah, it had some, listen, it was peach.
Okay.
One of the doors had been dented, so we had to get it repaired. And so I couldn't afford to get it repainted peach.
All right.
So it was it had the primer. It was gray.
Oh,
right?
man.
Listen, it had a peanut butter soft cloth.
Okay.
On top of it.
All right.
And it had peanut butter leather interior.
All right.
Yes, sir. And it had a short to the battery.
Oh, man.
So every time I stopped for a longer time, I had to disconnect the battery so I wouldn't come out to a dead car. But here's the thing. Yeah. Some people were walking and I was rolling.
There you go. Definitely. And that old school Cadillac leather, boy, and the hot, it gets sun. You be like,
I'm telling you.
No shorts.
Hey, listen, and the leather, the leather was dated, so it had the little cracks all through it.
It was double killing.
I'm telling you, listen.
But you was rolling.
I was rolling.
No more bus stops.
No more bus stops. And I went and bought me some brand new hubcaps.
There we go.
Yeah.
hey, man. Probably put some sounds in there and everything.
Oh, I did. Yeah, funny story. I was at the light. This is pre-marriage, of course. I was at the light. You always trying to stunt at the light. Young ladies were right there. And when I stopped, my hubcap popped off and rolled through. Listen, rolled through the intersection.
Oh, man!
But I was always a person who was real and not just trying to impress.
Yeah.
Because at that point, I either had to make a decision. Like, am I gonna just leave my hubcap and just mash through the light, or am I gonna pull to the side of the road, get my hubcap? And so you know what I did?
Get the hubcap.
I got my hubcap.
Yeah.
Listen, popped it back on, turned my sounds back up.
There we go.
And kept rolling.
Back rolling.
Yes, sir.
Back rolling. All right. So next question. You're the DJ at the end of the fireworks, Woodward and Jefferson. What 2 songs you playing?
Oh, man. Woodward and Jefferson. Woo! This is the last song, right?
Last 2, yeah.
The last 2 songs.
Yep.
Oh, man, I gotta play me some Stevie, man.
Okay.
Anything Stevie, right? Puts us in a good mood.
Okay.
And then, man, you know what? I'm gonna end the show, man, with some Aretha, respect.
Okay, I'm with it. And we probably play My Eyes Don't Cry No More because Detroiters love that.
Yeah.
That's like probably like a huge Stevie record here, but other places is like, why are they playing that song here?
Yeah.
Because we hustling to it.
Hey, listen, I'm telling you, man, listen, the Aretha, for me, respect is a value I hold. And if I'm closing out the evening, specifically, I want people to leave peacefully, right?
Yeah.
And you got to put the word out there, right?
I'm with it.
And so when people are leaving singing the song about respect, hey.
I was watching it's so funny because I love Aretha too, but the Martin episode when he in the DMV with George Jefferson.
Okay.
And he like read the lines with his eyes. Y'all know that, watch Martin, and then he sing R-E-S-P-E-C-T, then the people start singing behind him. Martin was just a physical comedy, funny guy. All right, last question.
All right.
I always say this for the person that's moved to Detroit. This is gonna sound crazy. Spaceship lands right in front of your crib. E.T. come out and he like, yo, take me to the most Detroit place we can go. Where you and E.T. going?
The most Detroit place that we can go. I'm bouncing back between East and West. Trying to figure out where I'm going to take him. I'm thinking about my personal spaces.
Okay.
But I know that you're asking
from a Detroit lens.
Detroit,
hey, nah, man, it's you and E.T. If y'all end up at your favorite Coney Island, it'd be like, yo, man.
Yeah.
Move out the parking lot.
So interesting enough, if we go to Coney route, Granny's Coney Island, right there off of Mount Elliott.
I already knew which one you were talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely, right there.
Yeah.
So
they definitely gonna be like, yo, you gotta move out the parking lot.
hey, for sure. Listen, hey, look,
They'll be like, yo, E.T., what up?
What up, man? No, but we used to go there every morning, man. On Fridays when I was a social worker for Head Start. And man, I would order this sandwich, man, and it had the sausage links, sausage patties, bacon, lettuce, and tomato.
You will not be eating a lot of that these days, but yes.
No, listen, no, I mean, clearly, my diet has changed.
Yes.
Or my lifestyle has changed, so I don't eat that anymore. However,
but back then,
I'm getting E.T. one of those sandwiches. Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. It's like E.T. gonna have an itis. He gonna be like, yo, I need to chill on the couch.
Hey, listen, he is. Hey, there's a 20-minute delay. E.T. He'll be with you momentarily. But yeah, getting that sandwich, man. And we would sit down and talk about how we would make impact for the next week. But
I love it.
Yeah, you got to definitely hit the cone.
I love it.
Yeah.
That being said, thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Yes, sir. Thank you for everything you do.
Always.
Peace.
Peace.
Detroit is different. Detroit is different. Detroit is different.